Imagine having hundreds of contacts in your phone, dozens of conversations waiting for you, and instant access to almost anyone on Earth. And yet, at the end of the day, you can still sit in a room and feel completely alone. That is one of the strangest contradictions of modern life. We can communicate across oceans in seconds. We can work, shop, eat, exercise, and entertain ourselves without leaving home. Now imagine one of your distant ancestors. No phone, no social network, no private apartment. But almost every important part of life happened beside other people. They hunted together. They gathered food together. They raised children together. They ate together. And at night, they often rested within reach of the same people they depended on during the day. So did modern humans become more connected, while slowly losing something much older? The tribe. For most of human evolution, belonging was not simply an emotional luxury. It could influence survival. A successful hunt often depended on cooperation. Finding food was easier when knowledge could be shared. Children required years of care before they could survive independently. An injured person had a much better chance if somebody could bring food, provide protection, or help them move. Knowledge also lived inside relationships. Which plants were safe? Where could water be found? How should a stone point be shaped? What signs revealed a predator nearby? None of that information needed a book. It moved from person to person. An elder could teach a younger hunter. Parents could teach children. One person could remember what another had forgotten. Even nighttime safety could become a shared responsibility. While some members of a group slept, another person could remain alert near the fire. Human beings were individually vulnerable, but collectively powerful. Our ancestors did not dominate the world because every individual was extraordinarily strong. They became powerful because many minds could cooperate. Food, knowledge, protection, childcare, and memory could all exist inside the same network of familiar people. For an ancient human, the group was not merely where social life happened. The group was part of the survival system itself. And the brain that evolved inside that system is still inside us today. Now imagine being separated from that group. One person alone in the grasslands had fewer eyes watching for danger. An injury that was manageable with help could become serious when nobody was nearby. Carrying food, building shelter, and maintaining fire all became harder. At night, sleeping meant becoming vulnerable. A group could share that risk. An isolated person could not. This helps explain an interesting possibility. Loneliness may not simply be an unpleasant emotion. It may act, at least partly, like a signal encouraging us to restore social connection. Much like hunger encourages us to find food, loneliness can push us toward other people. But the modern world creates a strange mismatch. Today you can be physically safe, surrounded by walls, electricity, and food, and still experience a powerful sense that something is missing. The ancient brain does not measure friendship by counting apartments nearby. It does not necessarily care how many strangers live in your city. What matters is whether there are people you trust, people who know you, people you can turn toward, and people who would notice if you disappeared. Thousands of years ago, losing that network could be dangerous. Today, the danger may be different, but the feeling can remain surprisingly powerful. Humans can recognize an extraordinary number of faces, but recognizing someone is not the same as having a relationship with them. Anthropologist Dunbar famously proposed that human social networks may have practical limits, with roughly 150 relationships often discussed as a possible outer layer of stable social connection. The exact number is debated, and it should not be treated as a biological law. But the deeper idea is useful. Our relationships appear to form layers. A few people may be extremely close. A somewhat larger group may include friends and relatives. Beyond that come acquaintances, familiar faces, and people we recognize but barely know. Modern technology can dramatically expand the outer layers. You may follow thousands of people. Thousands may follow you. You can see their faces every day, but your time, attention, and emotional energy remain limited. A prehistoric person might repeatedly hunt, eat, travel, and rest beside the same small group. Trust could be built through hundreds of ordinary shared experiences. Modern humans often encounter far more people, but spend less repeated, uninterrupted time with many of them. A network can therefore become enormous, while the inner circle remains surprisingly small, and sometimes almost empty. Consider how different daily life could once have been. Morning did not necessarily begin with everyone disappearing into separate cars, offices, and rooms. People gathered food together. Tools were made beside other people. Children remained near adults while work continued. Skills were demonstrated directly. Meals were shared. Stories were told around the same fire that provided warmth and protection. Older people could remain physically present even when they could no longer hunt as effectively. Children watched adults work and absorbed knowledge simply by being nearby. Work, family, education, and social life were not always separate categories. They frequently overlapped. Even sleep happened within a social environment. The important point is not that ancient humans were never alone. Of course they sometimes were. Nor were prehistoric communities perfect, peaceful places. Human conflict is ancient too. The difference is structural. Isolation was often less built into everyday life. The same familiar people could appear again and again throughout the day. You might gather food with someone in the morning, repair tools beside them in the afternoon, eat with them in the evening, and sleep near them at night. Modern life gives us extraordinary independence, but that independence also makes something historically unusual possible. A person can now perform almost every major daily activity without another human physically present. Human communities became larger. Hunter-gatherer camps became settlements. Settlements became towns. Towns became cities. Agriculture, specialization, industry, and technology allowed millions of strangers to cooperate indirectly. That transformation produced enormous benefits, but it also changed the architecture of social life. Factories separated work into specialized tasks. Offices divided people into departments and cubicles. Cars allowed millions to commute alone. Apartment towers placed thousands of people within meters of one another, while giving each household a private, enclosed space. Then the internet pushed independence even further. We can work from home, order food without entering a restaurant, shop without visiting a market, exercise in front of a screen, watch entertainment alone, communicate without being physically present. For the first time in human history, it is possible to live in a city of millions and spend much of an ordinary day by yourself. The human brain did not evolve in that environment. The city changed quickly. The social machinery inside us did not. If this made you think differently about human connection, like the video and subscribe to Before Humans. And tell us below, when do you feel most alone? At work? Online? Or when you're actually by yourself?